The 7 heartbreaking realities of old age that will shock you. Aging is a universal human experience that touches every life. It is a passage that, while inevitable, often carries with it an emotional weight that is hard to express and even harder to bear. As one grows older, life's priorities shift dramatically. The things that seemed important in youth, career success, financial stability, personal achievements, fade in significance compared to the deeper human desires for connection, health, and companionship. Aging can feel like an unraveling, where one loses things incrementally: mobility, friends, loved ones, independence, and sometimes even self-worth. But beyond the physical and visible losses, there are emotional and psychological burdens that accompany old age, burdens that are often hidden but that cut deeply. In this reflection, we explore 7 sorrows of old age. These sorrows, universal in their reach, affect individuals across cultures, socioeconomic backgrounds, and life experiences. They touch the core of what it means to be human and offer profound lessons, not just for the elderly, but for younger generations as well. Understanding these hidden sorrows allows us to confront them, offer support to those who are experiencing them, and perhaps most importantly, make choices that mitigate their impact in our own futures. While the term sorrow may evoke feelings of sadness or grief, these experiences are also rich with insight. They remind us of what matters most in life and of the impermanence of everything we hold dear. The 7 sorrows discussed here are not meant to evoke pity, but to foster a deeper understanding and empathy for the elderly. These sorrows offer a window into the vulnerabilities that come with age, but also the resilience that can grow from acknowledging and facing these burdens head-on. 1. Having everything but lacking a lifelong companion. As human beings, we are wired for connection. Relationships give meaning to our lives, providing a sense of purpose and belonging. Throughout life, many of us prioritize building families, forging friendships, and cultivating deep, meaningful connections. But as we age, these relationships are often tested by the ultimate separator: death. One of the most profound sorrows that many elderly individuals face is the absence of a lifelong companion. Whether through death, divorce, or never having had a partner, the isolation that comes with lacking a companion in old age can be devastating. Imagine someone who has spent their entire life in a long, committed marriage. They have shared their happiest moments and their most difficult trials with their partner. As the years pass, this relationship becomes the cornerstone of their emotional well-being. A person who knows their history, shares their memories, and understands them on a level that no one else can. And then, one day, that person is gone. This leaves behind a chasm that no amount of wealth, friendship, or other relationships can truly fill. In a practical sense, the absence of a companion also means that there is no one to share the burdens of daily life. Tasks that were once managed together, such as cooking, cleaning, or managing finances, now fall entirely on one person. Beyond the emotional strain, this can also lead to feelings of helplessness and a lack of control over one's own life. A 2019 study by the Harvard Study of Adult Development, one of the longest-running studies on human happiness, found that close relationships, more than money or fame, are what keep people happy throughout their lives. These bonds protect individuals from life's discontents, help delay mental and physical decline, and are better predictors of long and happy lives than social class, IQ, or even genetics. This study emphasizes the importance of nurturing lifelong relationships, yet it also highlights the deep sorrow that can come when these relationships are severed by death. Widowhood and loneliness are closely connected to depression among the elderly. The World Health Organization, WHO, reports that elderly individuals who live alone are at greater risk of depression, anxiety, and even early death. The sorrow of lacking a lifelong companion is more than just a feeling of sadness. It has serious physical and mental health implications. Cultural perspectives on companionship and aging in cultures around the world. The idea of aging with a partner is deeply rooted. In many Eastern cultures, particularly in Japan and China, growing old with a spouse is seen as a sign of fulfillment, as the couple is expected to support each other through the physical and emotional challenges of old age. Traditional beliefs emphasize the harmony and balance that come from a lifelong partnership. On the contrary, in many Western societies, particularly those that prioritize individualism, there can be less emphasis on the importance of maintaining close family ties and more focus on self-reliance. Even in old age, regardless of cultural norms, the loss of a partner is universally felt as one of the most devastating experiences in life. For those who have never married or have lost a partner, old age can bring feelings of intense loneliness, even if friends and acquaintances are still around. The lack of a primary emotional bond can make the world feel cold and isolating. This sorrow reminds us that true wealth is not bound in material possessions, but in the connections we build and sustain throughout our lives. 2. Having wealth but lacking health. The second sorrow of aging is one that understands the ironic reality many people face in later life. Having wealth but lacking health. In a world where financial success is often portrayed as the ultimate goal, it can be a bitter pill to swallow when one realizes that all the wealth in the world cannot restore failing health. As people age, they often face a variety of health challenges, from chronic diseases like arthritis, diabetes, and heart disease, to cognitive declines such as Alzheimer's and dementia. These conditions can severely limit an individual's ability to enjoy the wealth they have accumulated over a lifetime. The rich business tycoon, for instance, may have the finest homes, cars, and luxuries money can buy, but if he is bedridden due to illness, all these material possessions become meaningless. The relationship between wealth and health is complex. While wealthier individuals tend to have better access to health care and can afford treatments that may prolong life or improve the quality of life, there are limits to what money can buy. No amount of money can reverse the natural aging process or cure certain terminal illnesses. Furthermore, many elderly individuals who have focused their entire lives on accumulating wealth may have neglected their health in the process. Long hours, high stress, poor diet, and lack of exercise, all common in the pursuit of career success, can take a toll on the body over time, leading to serious health problems in old age. The physical and psychological impact. The sorrow of having wealth but lacking health goes beyond physical discomfort. There is a deep emotional and psychological toll that comes with realizing that one's body is deteriorating. For many, this can lead to feelings of helplessness, frustration, and even depression. The physical limitations imposed by poor health can prevent elderly individuals from engaging in activities they once enjoyed, further contributing to their sense of isolation. In some cases, the sorrow is compounded by regret. Elderly individuals may look back on their lives and realize that in their pursuit of wealth, they neglected their health. They may wish they had made different choices, taken more time to exercise, eaten healthier, or managed their stress more effectively. These regrets can weigh heavily on the mind, adding to the emotional burden of aging. Preventative health and wellness. Fortunately, the sorrow of lacking health in old age is not inevitable. There is growing awareness about the importance of preventative health measures throughout life. Regular exercise, a balanced diet, and mental health care are critical components of aging well. Furthermore, advances in medical technology and healthcare are providing new ways to manage chronic conditions and improve the quality of life for elderly individuals. One study published in The Lancet found that regular physical activity can reduce the risk of chronic diseases and cognitive decline even when started later in life. For those who have neglected their health in their younger years, it is never too late to make changes that can improve their well-being. Elderly individuals can benefit from adopting healthier lifestyles, and societies can do more too. You said, promote active aging through community programs, education, and access to health care. 3. Having children but being abandoned by them. For many elderly individuals, one of the most heartbreaking sorrows is the feeling of being abandoned by their own children. After spending decades raising, nurturing, and providing for their children, it can be devastating to find oneself alone in old age with little to no contact from the very people they sacrificed so much for. In today's fast-paced world, where families are often scattered across cities, states, or even countries, Physical distance can contribute to emotional distance. Adult children may be consumed with their own careers, families, and social lives, leaving little time to check in on their aging parents. This can lead to feelings of abandonment and loneliness for elderly parents who once played such a central role in their children's lives. However, the sorrow of being abandoned by one's children is not always due to physical distance. In some cases, emotional conflicts, misunderstandings, or unresolved issues can create a rift between parents and children that grows wider over time. Whether it is due to differences in lifestyle, long-held grudges, or other factors, the result is the same. Elderly parents feel disconnected from their children and are left to navigate the challenges of old age on their own. Cultural shifts and family dynamics. In many cultures, particularly in the West, there has been a noticeable shift in family dynamics over recent decades, as individualism and the pursuit of personal success have become more prominent. Traditional family structures have weakened. Children are no longer expected to live close to their parents or take care of them in their old age. Instead, many are focused on their careers, relationships, and personal fulfillment, which often leads to a growing distance between generations. This trend is especially pronounced in cultures where independence and self-sufficiency are highly valued. For example, in the United States and much of Europe, it is common to move away from their parents once they reach adulthood, often for education or career opportunities. In contrast, in many Asian cultures, it is still common for multiple generations to live together, and there is a stronger emphasis on familial duty and care for the elderly. However, even in these cultures, globalization and modern work patterns are beginning to erode these traditional family bonds. The impact of technology on family relationships. One might assume that advances in technology, particularly communication technology, would help mitigate the sorrow of being abandoned by children. With the advent of video calls, instant messaging, and social media, it is easier than ever to stay in touch with loved ones, regardless of physical distance. However, while technology can certainly help maintain connections, it cannot replace the warmth and comfort of in-person interactions. Many elderly individuals may not be as adept at using modern technology, further exacerbating their feelings of isolation. In some cases, children may believe that a quick phone call or text message is sufficient to fulfill their familial obligations. However, this often leaves elderly parents feeling neglected as they crave deeper and more meaningful connections. The quality of interactions, not just the frequency, is what matters most in maintaining strong family bonds. Breaking the cycle of abandonment. It is important to recognize that the sorrow of being abandoned by one's children is not always irreversible. There are steps that both parents and children can take to rebuild their relationships, even after years of distance or conflict. Open communication, forgiveness, and a willingness to make amends can go a long way in healing these fractured bonds. For parents, reaching out and expressing their feelings of loneliness and abandonment in a non-confrontational way can open the door to reconciliation. It's important to remember that many children may not even realize the extent of their parents' pain, especially if they are caught up in the demands of their own lives. By initiating an honest conversation, parents can help bridge the emotional gap and encourage their children to be more present in their lives. Similarly, children must take responsibility for maintaining their relationships with their aging parents. While life's responsibilities can be overwhelming, it is essential to prioritize family connections, especially as parents grow older and more vulnerable. Regular visits, phone calls, and simple gestures of care can make a significant difference in easing the sorrow of abandonment. Having children but still burdened by them. While some elderly individuals feel the sting of abandonment, others are burdened by their children in a different way. Instead of being left alone, they find themselves continuing to shoulder the responsibilities of their children's lives long after they should have been able to enjoy a well-deserved rest. This is a unique sorrow, one where the elderly are not abandoned but rather overwhelmed by the demands and expectations of their adult children in today's world. Economic challenges, relationship breakdowns, and a general increase in life's complexities have led many adult children to rely heavily on their parents for financial, emotional, and even physical support. Elderly parents who are looking forward to a peaceful retirement may find themselves stepping back into roles as caregivers, financial supporters, or emotional crutches for their children. The reality of financial burdens. One of the most common ways elderly parents are burdened by their children is through financial dependence. Many adult children, particularly in today's economic climate, struggle with job instability, student loan debt, or other financial difficulties. As a result, they may turn to their parents for help, expecting them to provide monetary support well into their own retirement years. For some elderly individuals, this can mean depleting their savings, delaying retirement, or even going back to work to support their children. This financial strain not only threatens their long-term security, but also adds significant stress to their lives at a time when they should be enjoying the fruits of their labor. Emotional and physical burdens. In addition to financial burdens, many elderly parents are also tasked with providing emotional or physical support to their children. This can manifest in a variety of ways, such as offering emotional guidance during a child's divorce, helping to raise grandchildren, or even providing full-time caregiving for a child who is dealing with age or disability. While parents naturally want to help their children, this dynamic can lead to feelings of frustration, exhaustion, and even resentment. Many elderly individuals feel that they have already paid their dues as parents and that they deserve to enjoy their retirement without being weighed down by the continued responsibilities of their children's lives. The emotional toll of being constantly relied upon can lead to burnout, particularly if they themselves are dealing with their own health or aging issues. Societal expectations and family dynamics. The expectation that parents should always be there for their children, no matter the circumstances, is deeply ingrained in many cultures. This societal pressure can make it difficult for elderly individuals to set boundaries or say no to their children, even when doing so would be in their best interest. In many cases, adult children may not even realize the extent to which they are burdening their parents. They may take their parents' support for granted, assuming that it is simply part of the parental role. This lack of awareness can lead to a cycle of dependence, where both the parents and the children feel trapped in their respective roles. Breaking the cycle of burden. It is important for elderly parents to recognize their own needs and set healthy boundaries with their children. While it is natural to want to help, it is equally important to protect one's own well-being. This may involve having difficult conversations with their children about financial independence, caregiving responsibilities, or emotional boundaries. For adult children, it is essential to recognize the toll that their dependence may be taking on their parents. While asking for help is not inherently wrong, it is important to strike a balance that allows the parents to maintain their own autonomy and quality of life. Encouraging children to take responsibility for their own lives, whether financially or emotionally, can help alleviate the burden on elderly parents and foster healthier family dynamics. 5. The loss of independence. One of the most difficult aspects of aging is the gradual loss of independence. As individuals grow older, they often find themselves increasingly reliant on others for tasks they once performed effortlessly, whether it is driving, managing finances, or simply getting out of bed in the morning. The loss of autonomy can be a profound source of sorrow for elderly individuals. Physical decline and its impact on independence. The physical limitations that come with aging are often the most visible markers of lost independence. Conditions such as arthritis, mobility issues, or chronic pain can make even the simplest activities, like grocery shopping or walking the dog, feel like insurmountable challenges. For those who were once active and self-reliant, these physical declines can lead to feelings of helplessness and frustration. For many elderly individuals, the loss of independence is not just about physical limitations. It is about the psychological and emotional impact of no longer being in control of their own lives. The inability to make decisions or take care of oneself can lead to a deep sense of vulnerability and dependence on others, which in turn can erode one's sense of self-worth. The emotional impact of losing independence. The psychological toll of losing independence is significant. For many elderly individuals, their identity is closely tied to their ability to take care of themselves and others. When this independence is lost, it can lead to a sense of despair, anxiety, and depression. The inability to make even the simplest decisions, such as what to eat for breakfast or when to go outside, can cause elderly individuals to feel as though they are losing control over their own lives. For some, the loss of independence comes gradually, with small tasks becoming increasingly difficult over time. For others, it can happen abruptly due to an accident or illness. In either case, the emotional strain is immense. Many elderly individuals fear becoming a burden to their families, friends, or caregivers, and this fear can contribute to feelings of worthlessness. The transition from being a caregiver to being cared for can be deeply unsettling, particularly for those who have always prided themselves on their self-reliance. Cultural perceptions of independence in old age. Different cultures place varying degrees of importance on independence, especially in old age. In Western societies, particularly in countries like the United States and Canada, individualism and self-sufficiency are highly valued. The idea of aging in place, remaining in one's own home for as long as possible, is seen as a key aspect of maintaining independence in later years. Many elderly individuals of these cultures strive to avoid nursing homes or assisted living facilities, viewing them as a last resort that signifies the ultimate loss of autonomy. In contrast, in many Asian and African cultures, the elderly are often integrated into the homes of their children or extended family members. While this might involve a loss of some independence, there is a cultural expectation that family will take care of the elderly, and this is seen as a form of respect and honor, rather than a loss of freedom. The communal nature of these cultures often mitigates the sense of helplessness that comes with relying on others. Despite these cultural differences, the underlying sorrow of losing independence is universal, whether one is aging in place with the help of caregivers or living with family members. The loss of personal autonomy can be deeply distressing. Maintaining dignity in the face of declining independence. While it is natural to grieve the loss of independence, it is also important for elderly individuals to find ways to maintain their dignity and sense of self-worth. Accepting help does not mean that one is powerless. Rather, it can be a sign of strength and resilience. Finding ways to adapt to new circumstances, whether by utilizing technology, seeking community support, or developing new routines, can help elderly individuals retain a sense of control over their lives. Families and caregivers also play a critical role in ensuring that elderly individuals maintain their dignity as they navigate the challenges of aging. This involves respecting their wishes, involving them in decision-making, and recognizing their need for autonomy, even in small ways. Simple acts, such as asking for their input on daily activities or encouraging them to remain engaged in hobbies and social activities, can help elderly individuals feel valued and respected. As the years go by, many elderly individuals face the sorrow of outliving their closest friends and loved ones. This sorrow is particularly poignant because it touches on the very nature of time and mortality. As one's social circle diminishes, the loneliness that comes from being the last one standing can be overwhelming. The grief of outliving peers. For many elderly individuals, friendships formed over decades are a source of comfort, joy, and shared history. Losing these friends one by one is like losing pieces of oneself. The people who remember your past, who shared your experiences, and who understood your struggles are gone. This loss can leave a person feeling adrift, as though the ties that once anchored them to the world have been severed. Outliving one's spouse is perhaps the most painful manifestation of this sorrow, but losing friends, siblings, and even children can also take a significant emotional toll. The grief of these losses is compounded by the knowledge that there is no one left who shared those moments and memories. While new friendships can certainly be formed later in life, they often lack the depth and history that come with long-term relationships. The psychological impact of loneliness. The loneliness that comes from outliving loved ones is not just an emotional burden. It has serious implications for physical and mental health. Numerous studies have shown that loneliness and social isolation are linked to a higher risk of health problems, including heart disease, stroke, and cognitive decline. According to the National Institute on Aging, loneliness can also increase the risk of depression, anxiety, and even premature death. For elderly individuals who have outlived their closest companions, this loneliness can feel insurmountable, even if they are surrounded by family members or caregivers. The absence of their peers, those who understood them in ways that younger generations cannot, creates a profound sense of isolation. The shared experiences, inside jokes, and mutual understanding that characterize their friendships are irreplaceable, leaving a void that is difficult to fill. Finding new connections in later life. Despite the sorrow of outliving loved ones, it is possible for elderly individuals to find new connections and build meaningful relationships later in life. Community centers, senior living facilities, and volunteer organizations offer opportunities for the elderly to meet others in similar situations and form new friendships. While these relationships may not have the same depth as those forged in earlier years, they can still provide companionship, support, and a sense of belonging. Additionally, some elderly individuals find solace in mentoring younger generations or becoming involved in intergenerational programs. These programs allow the elderly to share their wisdom, experience, and stories with younger people, fostering connections that are mutually enriching. While these relationships may not replace the bonds lost over time, they offer a sense of purpose and continuity, helping elderly individuals feel connected to the world around them. Coping with grief and loss. Grief is a natural part of life, but for the elderly who have experienced the loss of multiple loved ones, the cumulative weight of that grief can be overwhelming. It is important for elderly individuals to have access to resources that can help them process their grief and find ways to cope with their loss. Support groups. Grief counseling and mental health services can provide a safe space for the elderly to share their feelings and connect with others who are experiencing similar sorrows. In some cases, elderly individuals may benefit from engaging in creative outlets such as writing, art, or music as a way to express their emotions and process their grief. These activities can provide a sense of catharsis and help the elderly find meaning in their losses. The burden of regret. 7. The burden of regret. One of the hidden burdens of old age is the sorrow of regret. As people age, they often reflect on their past choices and the paths they took or didn't take. This reflection can lead to a deep sense of regret as elderly individuals confront the what-ifs of their lives. Whether it is missed opportunities, strained relationships, or decisions that led to unintended consequences, the weight of these regrets can be difficult to bear. Reflecting on life's choices as individuals approach the later stages of life, they often look back on the choices they made. For some, this reflection brings a sense of satisfaction, but for others, it leads to regret. Perhaps they chose a career that brought financial success but left them feeling unfulfilled. Perhaps they prioritized work over family, missing out on important moments with their children. Or perhaps they stayed in a relationship that was toxic or ended a relationship that could have brought them happiness. These regrets can be particularly painful because they often come with a sense of finality. At an earlier stage in life, there may have been time to make amends, pursue new opportunities, or change direction. But in old age, the sense that time is running out can make these regrets feel even more acute. The psychological impact of regret. The emotional burden of regret can have a profound impact on mental health. Elderly individuals who dwell on their past mistakes may struggle with feelings of guilt, shame, or sadness. They may feel that they have wasted their lives or that they failed to live up to their own expectations. This can lead to a sense of hopelessness or despair, particularly if they feel that there is no way to make up for their past choices. Regret is closely linked to depression among the elderly. Studies have shown that elderly individuals who ruminate on their past mistakes are more likely to experience symptoms of depression, anxiety, and even physical health problems. The burden of regret can also lead to social withdrawal, as elderly individuals may feel unworthy of connection or support. Finding forgiveness and acceptance while regret is a natural part of life. It is important for elderly individuals to find ways to come to terms with their past and embrace a sense of forgiveness, both of themselves and of others. This process of forgiveness can be incredibly healing, allowing individuals to let go of the emotional weight that has been holding them back. For some, this may involve reaching out to those they have wronged, or those who wronged them, in an effort to mend broken relationships. For others, It may involve seeking counseling or therapy to work through their feelings of regret and find a sense of peace. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and see you next time. If you found these stories inspiring and they motivated you to take action, please comment yes. If not, comment no. Your feedback means a lot to us. Thank you for taking the time to respond.